Blood for the Blood God, skulls for the Skull Throne. It's time for Khorne! Hello and welcome to Miniatures Rundown, back with our coverage of the Age of Sigmar 4.0 faction focuses. Although honestly, I think we're far enough into 4.0 where it's just Age of Sigmar now.
It's true.
We kind of settle into our groove, you know?
We're here.
Got our new Stormcast book, review coming hopefully next week, all this stuff. But today, let's talk about things that aren't getting new rules anytime soon that we know of.
Not on the roadmap.
Our good friends, the Blades of Khorne.
As per you, so Blades of Khorne is different from some other Khorne. Because in Khorne in 40k is me charge good, me punch good, you kill stuff, you die.
And Khorne in Age of Sigmar is math.
Yeah.
Is accounting.
Accounting. You have to keep track of all your points and what you want to use them on and blah, blah, blah.
And that hasn't changed.
That has not changed.
No, sorry.
They are the only, I believe, the only of the Chaos focused gods that didn't really change from the last edition. All the other ones got like pretty major changes. And this one was like, nope, still blood points.
Yeah, still blood points. Maybe slightly less emphasis on the super stupid specific aura sizes.
That's true.
Because that was a problem. But I guess that changed with the book last edition.
Yeah.
So I guess let's get started. What is their passive?
So their battle trait, they have what looks like a lot of battle traits, but it's really one big one and a bunch of different options.
And a bunch of things that filter into or out of it.
Exactly. The main consensus is blood tithe points. You start with 0, and every time a unit dies, friendly or enemy, you get 1 blood tithe point.
Khorne cares not from where the blood flows.
Exactly. There are other ways to get them, like Skull Taker gets an extra one when you kill a hero. There's an artifact that we'll get to later. But mostly, you kill a thing, or a thing dies, you get a blood tithe point. Yeah. Easy. There's a swath of things you can spend these on. Looks like 5. They can each... They all have the same text, is that you can't use it if you've used another blood tithe that turn.
Yes.
So if you do Spell Eater Curse, which is you counter a spell by spending 2 in a reaction to an opponent's spell, then you can't do any of the other ones in that turn. Right. You have to wait till the next turn. But yeah, the very first one is you can spend 2 to automatically unbind any spell, which is really good.
That's very good. And right now, spells are, endless spells particularly, are particularly powerful. Now, unbinding is not the same as dispelling.
Correct.
So this doesn't work to just get rid of an endless spell that's already floating around.
Yeah.
But it works to, go uncast.
It should be noted that there is absolutely no range on this whatsoever.
No, it's just opponent declared a spell ability. You go, nah.
Yeah, they lose it.
And that would happen during your opponent's hero phase, obviously.
Yep.
Or not technically, there's other ways they can declare spells.
Yeah, if they cast a spell in your turn, you can still cast.
This is a bit like Cruel Boys, where they had those abilities, but they were at different points in the turn, but you could still only use one a turn.
Yes.
So you can accidentally lock yourself out of some of these later if you use the ones that happen earlier.
That's true.
So that's worth remembering, in addition to spending the currency of the blood points.
All right. What is that called? Lost opportunity? There's
opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost.
Yeah. You can have an opportunity cost if you use this one early in your opponent's hero phase.
And then you decide you need another one later, can't do it.
Too bad, so sad. Yep. Opponents, maybe note, but maybe you could draw out a blood tithe using by doing certain things. So next one is any movement phase, Slaughter Triumphant. You can only use this ability if you've not used any blood tithe points this turn. Take a drink. Spend 8 blood tithe points.
This is the highest one.
This is the highest one. Now 8 is the number of Khorne, that's why it's 8. Pick one of the following. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly Blades of Khorne's units for the rest of the battle. Ding! Or pick a friendly non-unique Bloodthirster unit that has been destroyed and set up an identical replacement unit on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units.
Full health, any movement phase.
It is worth noting that this does cost 8 blood tithe points.
Yes, it does.
Which is a lot. But there's nothing that says you can only use this ability only once.
Correct. So you can only, the core rule is you can only reanimate each unit once.
Right.
But if you have multiple non-unique Bloodthirsters, you can reanimate each of them.
Or you could use this to buff everyone's attack and then
That's true.
Later resurrect a Bloodthirster. There's a reason this one is 8 whole points.
Yes. Again, it's the most and it's the best.
And how costly 8 points is depends a lot on your list and your opponent's list.
Yep.
Generally, Blades of Khorne doesn't have a lot of chaff.
No, they we'll get to it later, but a lot of their stuff is really, really expensive.
They
points-wise.
tend to be an elite melee army. They're not Dark Oath Marauders here. But if you're playing someone who has a lot of MSUs, minimum size unit chaff, that you can cut through with your big, scary infantry, you could potentially get this.
Oh, this against some of the undead factions, where
Right.
you're just like, oh yeah, kill him, I'll bring him back.
Right.
And you're like, good.
Thankfully, there's no rules that says that just because something doesn't have blood means you can't get blood from it. You
Yeah.
can, in fact, squeeze blood from a stone.
Next, and probably the most ubiquitous, is Murder Lust. It only costs 1 blood tithe point. You pick a friendly Blades of Khorne unit that's not in combat to be the target. The target can move 3 inches, and it can move into combat with this move.
It's basically spend a blood tithe point for a pile-in.
Yep. So there's a whole bunch of cool stuff with this. You need to get 3 extra inches for your battle tactic. You can do that to get on an objective. You can use it to basically get to your opponent X amount faster. Everyone always asks, I play Khorne, I've been playing them a bit since 4.0 came out, and it's, what's your threat range? And I was like, well, Bloodthirster's 12 plus 3 plus like an auto run and a charge, and it's like 25.
Worth noting, this happens during any movement phase.
Any movement
so
phase.
So you can use it during your opponent's or yours.
Yep.
So you could move into combat out of the charge phase.
Yes,
This
that's
wouldn't
true.
count as a charge though.
Right.
Which does matter for some things. But you could also, like, your opponent has just moved and is going to charge you.
Just moving to them first. They get a charge bonus. They can shoot, since you can't shoot in combat anymore unless you have the ability.
Right.
They move up to you. They're going to shoot and charge, and you're just like, how about not that first one?
So don't move within 3 inches of Khorne units unless you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which I guess kind of was always an unwritten rule of Khorne.
Yeah,
maybe,
it's true.
Maybe don't touch the blood maniacs.
Yeah, the fact that it's only 1, it is very useful, but again, it's the opportunity cost. It's in the movement phase. It's very early, so you could do it and then go like, one of the other ones.
Yep. Next is in hero phase, you have the Brass Skull Meteor. Sounds a lot like magic to me, Khorne.
I don't know what you're talking
Just saying, just saying. You can only use his ability, blah, 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 4 blood tithe points. Pick an enemy unit that is visible to a friendly hero of yours. So, enemy unit, no range, but they have to be visible to you, to a hero specifically. This is Horde Clear, because, well, not Horde Clear. This is roll 8 dice for each 3 up, inflict 1 mortal damage on the target. So 8 dice, 66% of them is going to be 3 up. That's like 5 damage.
Something like that.
It's 5 to 6 damage.
Which is pretty good, but for 4 blood tithe points, that's probably one of my last resorts.
Maybe,
Where it's
but this could really save you.
It could. Like, a guy's on 1 wound and holding a point, you need him dead, definitely an option.
Or like this thing, against Stormcast, for example.
Yeah.
Stormcast hate this because that mortal damage goes right through all that lovely armor they've got.
That's a nice 2-up you have.
Yeah.
Kill 3 guys.
That's a nice Annihilator with 3 wounds and a 2-up save.
Yep.
That's a nice, Palador with a 3-up save and 3, I think there are, 3 or 4 wounds?
Yeah.
Well, too bad if it just died and removed a third of your effectiveness. Oops. Or, hey, that's a nice, Daughters of Cain, that's a nice hero you've got there that's only got 5 wounds.
Yeah,
As long as I don't beef my roll.
this can target heroes.
It's not a shooting attack, so there's no saving from it.
And last, we have Heads Must Roll, which is in any combat phase. You spend 6 blood tithe points, and for the rest of the turn, you add 1 to the rend characteristic of your melee weapons for your whole army. Blades of Khorne units, not, allies. +1 to rend is good. But it's 6 blood tithe points, and it's only till the end of the turn, so you gotta have like everything in melee for it to take.
And this
real
is
effect.
one that that happens the latest in the turn.
That is true.
So if you haven't used anything else and you have stuff in melee,
Yeah, it's an option.
you could use this.
You're still spending your points. but-
That being said, the points don't disappear. So
Yeah. You build them up and then you spend an amount. So if you have 12 and you spend 6, you get down to 6.
yeah,
Unlike some of the other ones, where it's like you have to spend all your points.
right. That one's. I want to call this the most niche, but it's really not. It's good. It's
Yeah.
just all of these are good and very
Yeah, I
usable. Which I like about this because it's like here's all the things you can spend and none of them are duds.
My only real problem is you want stuff to die and your stuff is so expensive.
Yes. Which I do like. Khorne
yeah.
cares not from whence the blood flows, but he would rather it be theirs.
That's true. And oh boy, they kill stuff.
Yeah, they
I'll
do
tell you
kill stuff. Let's go to the battle formations. Battle formations, as usual, this is your sub-faction rules, basically. Khornate Legion, kind of your, well, in theory, your basic one.
This is the mixed.
Yes.
You can take mortals and demons.
So once per turn, reaction. You declared a fight ability for a friendly Blades of Khorne demon unit. So once per turn, when you have declared a fight ability, you can use Butchers of Nations. You pick a friendly Bloodbound unit, those are your mortals, that has not used the fight ability this turn and is within 12 inches of this unit using the ability. The target can be picked to use the fight ability immediately after. So it's chain fighting,
Yeah.
bouncing between mortals and immortals, mortals and demons.
Yeah, mortals and demons.
Yeah.
It is once per turn, so you only get to do it once, but a chain fight with 2 really beefy units can be very strong.
Yes.
They do have to stay very close to each other, though.
12 inches, but not wholly within 12 inches.
That's true.
Which I like. Hey, at least it's not wholly within 8.
That's
Because that's what it would have been.
That's what it would have been last edition.
In old times, there would be no 12s in here.
Yeah. Everything would be 8 or 16.
Or no, it would have been 8. There was no 16s in that book.
That's true.
It's all 8s. Or Skaven, where everything's 13s.
Yeah. I think 13's the highest they go on
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
So that was not bad, but
No.
you do want to be playing with demons and mortals and having them work together.
So there is a pattern across all of the Khorne, Slaanesh, Nurgle, all that stuff, where there's generally everybody, a demon, a mortal, and then like some offshoot.
Something special.
Yeah. So that was the everybody list, and the next one, the murder host, is the demons only one. It is strength through slaughter. If a friendly, non-monster Blades of Khorne demon unit uses a fight ability, it has ward 5 for the rest of the turn. So it doesn't count your monsters, who already have a ward 5 up.
Yeah, I was about to say your bloodthirsters do not care.
So this one is really interesting tactically because it like making a unit tougher by making it fight can be interesting in what you want to choose to fight first.
It's kind of a win more because fighting first, especially with these guys, these yahoos hit hard.
Yes.
Fighting first with them generally means a lot of things you're going to mulch.
That is true.
But not everything. There are things in the game that can withstand you and punch back real hard.
Yes.
This is either like I've hit you and now your ability to punch me back is even more reduced. Or I've hit you and, uh-oh, that didn't kill you. Oh, that's Kazurai. Oh, dear.
Oh, no. The reason is because 99% of the time when I'm in a fight and I have a monster and a unit that are both fighting, I go with the monster first.
Right.
But with this, you kind of want to go with the unit first because they get the buff, but the monster doesn't. It's kind of interesting.
This isn't just demons. This is... But, yeah, but then if the monster doesn't go first, there's a potential it could get killed.
Yeah.
Because your stuff's not terribly durable.
That's true.
In Blades of Khorne. Even Bloodthirsters are scary and not durable.
Yeah.
But they ain't tanks.
No,
really.
they're a 4-up armor save and a 5-up feel no pain and 16 wounds.
Yes.
Which is
not bad.
Good. But like again, Karazai is gonna.
There's tougher stuff and there's there's not much more damaging stuff, but there's tougher stuff.
There are some.
There are some, but generally they're like gods.
Yeah.
Then we get to the Brass Stampede, which is obliterating charge. I love that. This is specifically your cavalry one.
Yes.
So if the unmodified charge roll is 8 up for a Blades of Khorne cavalry. So these are like your juggernauts.
Yep.
And your I always forget the other name of them.
So it's Skull Crushers.
There we go, Skull Crushers.
And Blood Crushers. Skull Crushers and Blood Crushers.
Crushers, all your Crusher folks.
All the Crushers.
If you get a natural 8 on the charge roll or higher, that's strike first.
Yep. And it's passive, so if you roll multiple 8+, you get multiple strike firsts.
Yep.
Some of the 8+ on a charge strike first is once per turn.
Yep.
So it's nice that this one isn't.
This really favors a cavalry heavy, everyone charge at the same time.
Yeah,
list.
like an alpha charge.
Because one of the problems with, in Age of Sigmar, charging with more than one unit is you charge, and yeah, you get to go first because it's your turn, but then your opponent gets to hit back even if they didn't charge.
Yeah.
This removes the ability to do that.
Yes.
This basically turns it into 40k's charge system.
That's fair.
Everything I charge with, as long as it's cavalry, gets to hit you before you get to fight back.
Yep.
Which is great for wombo comboing. You can charge 3 different Crusher units into like one monster unit and really kill it before it gets a chance to murder them. If you love your cavalry, which personally is actually my favorite Khorne models, are those Crusher models, especially the new ones, which are beautiful. This is probably what I would play in Khorne.
That's fair.
And if you like the cavalry and like having lots of it, this is what you go for.
So it should be noted that it is on an 8+, which is above average.
Yep.
But there are a few ways to get 3d6 dice on your
There are.
Lastly, we have the Bloodbound or the Mortals, which is the Bloodbound Warhorde. The Tireless Conqueror's passive ability, which grants +1 to hit for combat attacks made for Bloodbound units that target an enemy unit while they are contesting an objective you do not control. So it is objective hunting.
Yep. Which is what the Mortals do.
Yes.
It's my least favorite, honestly, just because it's the least ubiquitous and the least fun.
Yeah, the fact that you have to have an enemy on a point, not like you can't control it. So if you go onto it and you control it, you lose the ability. Now, you don't control an objective to the end of the turn, so it's not going to match at the end of the turn, but still.
I do like that this helps you if you're not winning.
That's true.
If you're losing on objectives, this helps you. Yeah, rubber band, good. It's not a win more, it's the opposite of win more.
Yeah.
I do like that. So that being said, all told, I like all of these.
Yeah, they all have their own use, and again, the fact that them being like little tiny sub-factions, you could go, I want all Bloodbound, you do that. I want all demons, you do that. Yeah, I've found a use for all of them in various lists that I've made.
Yeah. On now to the heroic traits, Commanders of the Blood Legion. Remember, heroes, non-unique. There's only 3 of them, as there is for everybody. You got a passive in Firebrand. If this unit is not a priest, it gets priest. If you're already a priest, you get +1 to banishment rolls for it instead.
I wish that was +1 to power level.
Yeah, but that would be too good.
That'd be too good. That being said, there's no wizards at all in this faction.
No.
Because Khorne hates wizards.
Right.
And there's only a few priests and even less that you would actually take.
Yep.
So I think this one's really good.
Yeah, I guess because your invocations are good.
Yes, the invocations are very
And
strong.
prayers in general are very strong.
Which is good because they're the only freaking things I can take. I'm not allowed to take anything else. They have to be the Khorne ones.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm going to talk in the second person a lot. The next one up is another passive, Relentless Hunter, which is if this unit is picked to be the target of the Murder Lust ability, so that's the move 3 inches, it can move 6 inches instead of 3.
Bloodthirster with 6-inch pile-in.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of real scary.
Now remember, you can't use that as a real pile-in because it has to be during the movement phase.
It is
and
during
it does
the
preclude you charging.
Yes, it does.
But that gives you some really nice mobility on some of your guys.
Yeah, and again, since that is any turn, you can move 6 inches on your opponent's turn.
Yep.
And then countercharge?
Yep, you can 6-inch countercharge, or just a 6-inch to put a Bloodthirster in the way of something that really doesn't want to deal with a Bloodthirster.
That one's really, really good.
Yeah, I like that. And the last one is Favorite of Khorne. This is also a passive. You begin the battle with 1 blood type point. If you don't know what else to do...
Exactly. It is the default choice. If you already have all priests and you don't want 3 extra inches on Murder Lust, why wouldn't you want that?
Because maybe you're not playing with a big beat stick hero.
That's true.
Maybe you're going with support heroes and then lots of infantry.
True.
And if you didn't want to make one of them a priest because you already had a priest and you didn't care about making your priests have +1 banishment, which admittedly is not always great, this would be what you go for. Again, none of these are bad.
None of them are bad. And that also gives you the ability to use, what is it called? Murder Lust on turn 1.
Yeah.
Which you normally can't do unless you get lucky.
Yeah. Unless someone leaves something real exposed.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Artifacts of Power, which are the murderous artifacts. Come on, guys. You should have named that better.
It's Khorne.
Fair enough. They're not all about the intelligence.
No.
They have the Argath, the King of Blades, the ubiquitous across a few different playstyles, which is any combat phase, pick an enemy hero unit in combat with this unit to be the target. Ward rolls cannot be made for the rest of the turn for the target.
Great. Terrifying.
That's fantastic.
It's at any combat phase. You can use it over and over again. It's not once per game.
Nope.
That is fantastic. There are some hero units that really like their ward saves.
This also stops bodyguard units because that has turned into ward, and then whenever you take a ward, they pass it off.
This can really ruin people's day. Again, put this on a beat stick hero, and they will beat stick even better against things that have wards. Death Faction loathes this.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, Nagash.
Shink. Oh, you had no save? Oh, you have no ward? That sucks.
Duel of Fates plays in the background. Another passive, Collar of Contempt. This unit can use Unbind abilities as if it had Wizard 1. Every time this unit unbinds a spell, inflict D3 mortal damage on the caster. Not bad.
Honestly, I think this would be takeable even if it didn't have the mortal damage.
Yeah.
So the mortal damage is kind of just like
icing on the cake.
A little gravy. I like it. Being able to unbind in a faction that doesn't have much of it.
Yep.
I love it. And lastly, another passive, the Halo of Blood. Ignore negative modifiers to this unit's control score and 2 hit and 2 wound rolls for this unit's attacks.
That one has close competition with the no wards one.
Yes,
because there are lots of malices. Malici? Mali? I don't know. There are lots of negatives to hit in Age of Sigmar right now, and negatives to wound. The old joke is that in 3.0, you plan for having +1 to hit. Nowadays, you plan for having -1 to hit on a lot of things.
Yep. And this counteracts that, which is
because
nice.
This is saying I am immune to your BS. Now, there are absolutely no spells in Khorne any way, shape, or form. The judgments are not spells.
Nope, they're not endless
manifestations, but they're not spells. Don't you ever think that these are endless spells. These are manifestations.
These are endless prayers.
Don't you say spells. Khorne will punch you.
We will get to them. We should make note that they, all of the endless, dang it, I almost said it. The manifestations are prayed on a 4.
Yes, prayed. Prayed.
Prayed on a 4.
Prayed is a word already. Prayered is not. They're all invoked.
Invoked on a 4.
No, invocated. They're all invocated on a 4-up.
Yes.
Remember that their way prayers work is you go, ooga chaka, you pray to the gods, you get points. If you roll a 1, you lose points and take damage.
I don't think you take damage.
I thought you got the clapback of D3 mortals.
No,
Oh.
not for prayers.
Oh, okay, never mind.
You just lose D3 priesty
The
points.
gods get mad and you lose them. So yeah, all these go off in 4s, which is not very much.
No.
And
50-50.
a lot of them you make a chanting roll of D6, blah, 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 blah. All right.
Now onto their actual prayers.
Yeah, onto their actual prayers.
First we have their unlimited prayer, which is Unholy Flames. It is prayed on a 5. And it is a friendly Khorne unit wholly within 12 to be the target. And you add 1 to the rend characteristic for their melee weapons for the rest of the turn. And if it is chanted on a 10+, it is also +1 to wound for their attacks for the rest of the turn. That's really good.
Yeah.
And it's unlimited.
Yeah.
The only real downside is it's on a 5, so you have a chance to fail it more often than you don't.
Yep.
But if you save up your points and then do it across multiple guys,
Yep. Because it's 12 inches is a good range. Fully within kind of sucks, but that's normal for buffs.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it's not 8 inches. Is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Next one is the Witchbane Curse. This one goes off on a 4. Pick a friendly Blades of Khorne priest. Blah blah blah. Pick a visible enemy wizard within 18 inches. Okay. So visible enemy wizard 18 inches. Subtract 1 from the target's power level to a minimum of 0 until the end of your next turn. End of your next turn.
Yes.
In addition, if you roll an 8-up, inflict 3 mortal damage on the target. That can be incredibly powerful.
Yep.
If someone has a wizard with lots of buffs, but it's only a wizard 1, turn it off.
And because this is in your hero phase, if you do it on something, they can't counterspell on your hero phase because they're not a wizard. And then they can't spell on their next turn.
Because it's not, yeah.
Or your turn again.
This is very long lasting for something that only goes off on a 4.
Yes. The only issue with it is it's very, very niche. It's like, if they're a wizard 2, it doesn't do as much.
No, but it still hurts a lot.
It still hurts.
Because things that have multi-wizards really like to use them.
That's true. So not being able to use one.
And 18 inches visible is, 18 inches is still a lot.
It is.
And a lot of the really good wizards aren't wizards who are going to sit in the back.
Did you mention the chanting roll on an 8+?
Yeah. Inflict 3 mortals. Not D3,
yeah,
3.
Flat 3 mortals.
Yep, which is also good.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah. The last one is Blood Boil, which is also paired on a 4. Pick a friendly Blades of Khorne unit, chant this Blades of Khorne priest to chant this prayer, and pick a visible enemy unit within 18. Roll a number of dice equal to the number of models of target unit. For each 5-up, inflict a mortal damage. In addition, if the chanting roll is an 8+, subtract 1 from the wound rolls for that target until the start of your next turn.
It's horde clear.
It's horde clear. It subtracts 1 from the wound rolls for all of their attacks, including ranged.
Yeah.
Which could be something.
5 of horde clear is better than 6 of horde clear.
That
That's not
one's
bad.
probably my least favorite of the 3.
Yeah. Ruining your enemy wizard's hero is just
There's
so good.
basically anybody that can take a wizard will probably take a wizard.
Right.
I have a couple that I want to talk about.
Do we want to talk about this endless...
Spells now?
Let's talk about the invocations.
The endless prayers.
What are we doing? The Candlejack meme?
Yes. Oh, from 2002?
It wasn't 2002. It was like 2008.
First, we have what is growing to be my personal favorite, the Bleeding Icon.
The Bleeding Icon.
It has 8 health and a 4-up save.
I remember these all go off
They
on,
all go off on 4s.
which is half of 8.
It is the stationary one, so it can be
Yes.
set up closer to the enemy than 9 inches because it doesn't move. It is reaction when an opponent declares a command for a unit within 8 inches of this manifestation. Roll 2d6 on an 8+. The command has no effect. It still counts as having been used, and the command points are spent are still lost.
So, an 8 up on 2d6 is not great, but just this thing's... Remember, it doesn't cost you any points to bring these.
Right.
And you just bring all of them.
Yes.
So just this thing's existence being near your guys...
Yep. Just the threat. Possibly not getting a command that they want.
Means they have to deal with this bullcrap.
I put it, like, in my games, I put it next to, like, a Tree Lord Ancient.
Things people are going to fight with or over.
And I'm like, I'm going to attack. Are you going to all out defense? And he's like, no, it's not worth it. Just like, heck yeah, it's not worth it.
By the way, it has fly for some reason.
Yeah, it has. Oh, I think it's for cover.
Yeah,
you don't get cover
I
if you have flying.
And it has a 6-up ward, 8 wounds, 6-up ward. Yep. 7 up on a banishment, which is not hard to banish, but not easy either.
Yeah, not easy.
It's a statistical banishment, unfortunately. 4-up save. So this thing's not super tough, but like putting it near where the action on the battlefield is, it's such a mental tax on them.
It is.
Because now there's a, let me see, 8 on a 2d6 is a...
What, 45% chance, something like that? 40,
yeah.
40 something?
Something like that. not a low chance.
It's just, and I had it stop a countercharge at one point. It's like, oh, you spent 2 and did literally nothing? Man, that sucks.
Oof size, large. Yeah. Then we got the Hexgorger Skulls, Mr. Bleeding Eyeballs. This is 8-inch move, 6 health, 5-up save, goes off on a 4, banished on a 7. So its attacks, it's got 2 attacks, 2s and 4s, no rend, D3 damage.
And there's 2 of them, so it has 4 attacks.
Not the worst. It's got 2 passives. It's got the multiple parts passive, so they have to end within 8 inches of each other.
Yep. And if you deal the health, they both die. It's not one at a time.
Their main passive, though, is Hexgorgers. For each part of this manifestation that is within 8 inches of a wizard, friendly or enemy.
For all my friendly wizards out there.
You could, there are like Skaven legendary
Yes, you could ally summon.
Subtract 1 from the casting rolls for that wizards.
That is for each head.
For each head. So you could, if you can get both of them in there and make the triangle of sadness.
-2.
-2.
That's pretty cool.
I don't like that one. It's too short range.
It is. It is very short range. Its attacks aren't great.
But again, if you're bringing the invocations, which you, as Khorne, this is all you can bring.
Yep.
So you might as well, because you can't bring any of the generic endless spells, because you can't do spells.
Yeah, unlike all of the other ones that have access to
I guess unless you were legendary legioning in a wizard, you could, in theory, bring it.
They can't even bring in the legendary legion is from a different game.
Oh.
It's armies something of renown.
Legion armies of renown. Yeah, sorry, or legions of whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, so they can't take the Tzeentch one.
Okay.
Which is the one that summons stuff and has
so never mind.
Pink horrors.
So and there is a universe in which, like, Krondys is in the center of the table doing some melee damage. You just go boop.
Yep. -2 to all your casting.
And then if he manages to not banish it,
Yeah. And lastly, we have the Wrath Axe, which has recently been changed to not suck as much. It is movement 8 and 7 health with a 5-up save and a banishment of 7. It has 3 attacks. Hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, 2 rend, D3 damage.
good profile.
Not bad. Only 3 attacks, but not bad if they hit. And its one ability is your charge phase, Hatred's Edge.
Written by a teenager in 2008.
There you go. Pick up to 3 enemy units. This manifestation passed across to be the targets. Remember, this is the charge phase, so it's after it charges. Roll a D3 for each target on a 2-up, inflicted amount of mortal damage equal to the roll. So it's some charge mortals, but you have to roll enough to get over
This is your pure damage dealing invocation.
Yep, it is there to punch stuff.
The problem is that the other prayers are really good.
The other prayers are really strong.
So the opportunity cost of using Wrath Axe and not just saving up for one of those other prayers, I think Bleeding Icons absolutely worth it. Hexgorger worth it, but niche.
Yep.
And then Wrath Axe.
Wrath Axe if you have literally nothing else to do.
Which is going to be rare.
Yes.
All right, and then let's talk about their terrain piece.
Because you take it and you can't not take it. Anyway, it's called the Skull Altar. It is
The Sculptor.
the Sculptor. It's 10 health and a 4-up save. It can't move and has no control. And it has a whole bunch of abilities, but what it basically means is at the start of your turn in your hero phase, you can put a priest on it. The priest gets +1 to his chanting.
He stands on it, T-posing.
Yep, he T-poses. He gets +1 to his chanting. While he's on there, he can't move. All distance is measured from the thing. He basically becomes a terrain piece. And whenever, as long as there is a priest on it, it has the ability to cancel spells that target your friendly models. Reaction. A friendly unit with an 18 of the terrain feature was picked to be the target of an enemy spell. You roll the dice, and on a 5+, so it means 33% chance to stop it. You get a free blood type point on a 5+.
Ding.
And you ignore the effect of that spell. This terrain feature can use this ability more than once per phase, but you can only roll once for each friendly spell cast. Or for each friendly unit per spell cast.
Right.
So because it's a reaction, you could generally only use one, but this says you can use it as many times as your opponent casts spells. It's fine. It's another thing, kind of like the icon, where it's like just having that ability makes your opponent not want to cast spells on you, because you get a free blood type point.
And 10 wounds on a 4-up save ain't nothing.
Yeah, it's not nothing. And then even if it dies, the guy just pops off of it.
Yeah, so he doesn't die.
So it is Khorne. You can't talk about Khorne without talking about a Bloodthirster.
But
All of the Bloodthirsters have their merit. They are anywhere between 490 points for Scarbrand down to 420. And they all have some kind of specialty. The one that I want to talk about is the anti-monster one.
ooh,
It is the Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury. Movement 12, a health of 16, a save of a 4-up, and a control of 5, like most monsters. It has the Lash of Khorne. It's the one with the whip.
Balrog whip.
Balrog whip. It is range 8, 4 attacks, 3s and 3s to hit and wound, 1 rend, D3 damage, and can shoot in combat. So that's something. It has the Mighty Axe of Khorne, which is 6 attacks, 3s and 2s, -2 rend, 4 damage, +1 rend against monsters, so -3 rend against monsters. Which
4 damage is a lot.
4 damage is a lot, which is... Monsters are generally going to have a really good save,
Yep.
so the extra rend is not terrible.
6 attacks, 3s and 2s, 2 rend, 4 damage is a really good chance to mulch most things, or at least really hurt them.
Yes.
You know, Kragnos doesn't like getting hit by this.
Yeah. So he maxes out for melee at 24 damage, which is pretty good. The other one, the one with the double axe, does have a higher threshold, a higher damage potential, but he doesn't have a ranged attack, and I think his abilities are worse. If he's damaged, battle damaged, if he has taken 10 or more damage, his melee attack is gone to 4, which does suck. But,
Yep.
but the reason that I love him, the first one, in the charge phase, pick a non-unique Blades of Khorne demon unit to be the target. For the rest of the turn, add 1 to the number of dice rolled when making a charge. Pick any demon on the board, can be himself, and get 3d6 charge.
Hey, remember we talked about that 8 to charge?
Yep. That one I think is really good. The fact that he can, because Scarbrand has the same ability but only for himself.
Right.
And obviously, you know, Khorne is selfish sometimes. But being able to put it on anything is really strong. Next I have the Ensnaring Lash, which is once per turn, any combat phase. Pick an enemy monster in combat with this unit to be the target. If the target is in combat with the unit, when the target is picked to use the fight ability, it must pick this unit, the Bloodthirster, to be the target of the pile-in move, so they have to fight him, and subtract 1 to hit and wound rolls for that fight ability.
So he's got a taunt, basically.
He's got a taunt, and they get -1 to hit and wound, and considering most monsters are hitting on 4s nowadays...
Right.
Woo!
Yeah, so this guy hates monsters and kills them.
Yes.
This guy's a better anti-monster hero than Kragnos.
Yeah. And he is, this one is 440 points.
Not
So
bad, not bad.
Yeah.
I think for that profile and that amount of damage, and considering that monsters can... Targeting and destroying your enemy's monsters can be really powerful, because usually if they're bringing a monster, it's part of their main battle plan.
Yes, agreed.
Now, it is worth noting that you are a monster yourself, so,
Yeah.
you know...
You know what? You take it and you give it back.
Right. The Khorne cares not from whence the blood flows.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like this guy a lot.
Yeah, he is my favorite of the Bloodthirsters. He's gone in most of the list that I've made.
Makes sense. And he looks cool.
Yeah. So the only reason I want to talk about the Fleshhounds here is because there's not much scoring units in your faction.
No, you don't have much chaff.
You don't have much chaff.
This is what you got.
You don't have much chaff. You don't have much speed. I believe speed, other than Bloodthirsters, speed 8 is the fastest this army gets.
I mean, because they couldn't go up to 9.
Couldn't go up to
It
9.
would be illegal.
So these guys are 110 points, and they're fine.
Yep.
They have movement 8, 2 health, a 5-up save, a control of 1, and every single demon has at least a 6-up ward.
Yep.
So a 6-up ward. They have 4 attacks each, hitting on 4s, wounding on 3s, no rend 1 damage, anti-wizard 1 rend.
Yep.
And companion, so you can't even buff them past that.
Also, I hate the name of the melee weapon. It's Blood Dark Claws.
Blood Dark Claws.
Let's call them Blood-Soaked Claws, but that's probably taken by something else.
Probably. They're beasts, so they can't have a control of more than 1, but they get +2 to their charge rolls.
Yes, which is good.
Which is good.
So these guys are your chaff. They're used for harassing things that... Because 4 attacks each, 4s and 3s, 1 damage, is not good. But
It's 20 attacks.
if they charge a squishy wizard
Yeah.
or a ranged unit that doesn't want to get in melee at all, that isn't going to get through their, that just isn't going to hit them well, these guys can be really annoying. And they've only got control 1, but you can still use control 1 to take objectives.
Yep.
This is the closest thing you have.
Yep.
And probably worth using a unit or 2 for that reason. Plus, they're dirt cheap.
Yeah, 110 for 10 wounds on a 5-up, 6-up. Not terrible.
Not terrible at all.
So I do want to talk about Bloodletters for a split second because they are your battle line unit. They are a super average unit. Movement 5. They do have 2 wounds. All the demons went to 2 wounds except for Slanesh. A 5-up save and a 6-up ward like we talked about. 2 attacks each. 3s and 3s. 1 rend, 1 damage. Crit mortals.
Yep.
Crit mortals very strong.
And 3s and 3s is good.
Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the turn, if they are in combat, they get D3 guys back. And at 2 wounds, that's pretty good.
Yes.
I generally take a unit of these if I'm playing mostly demons, but they're 200 points for a unit of 10, which is a lot. I want them to go down a little bit.
But it's 20 wounds.
It is 20 wounds.
That's why they're 200 points. And
Yeah,
that's kind of the baseline where Age of Sigmar is at right now.
Yeah, I know.
If you're getting 20 wounds, you're generally paying 200 points. Like Stormcat, like Skaven.
Yeah.
Clan rats are how many points?
150
Right.
for 20?
And that's clan rats.
Yeah. Look at their profile.
But you're getting 20 of them, and that's why they're expensive.
So yeah, these, I just had to talk about them because if you're taking demons, you should take these guys because they're pretty good. They're not terrible. They're kind of durable. They're kind of killy. They're fine.
Yeah.
They're my go-to for battle guard. God, what's it called? Bodyguard unit.
Ah, yes.
And then the last for the demons I want to talk about is the Blood Throne. So the Herald of Khorne on Blood Throne is the last I want to talk about for the demons. They are a movement 8, 10 health, 4-up save, and 2 control. Again, 6-up healing pain. Ward. They have 7 attacks, 3s and 3s, 1 rend, 2 damage, anti-infantry plus 1 rend, and crit mortals. 2 damage crit mortals, pretty good.
Yes, it is.
Only 7 attacks, but that's more than most foot heroes, so it's like a level up from there.
Yeah, and 3s and 3s.
3s and 3s.
Anti-infantry plus 1 rend anyway, so
Yeah.
2 rend really.
And the reason you take it is because a lot of the factions have this, the ability to reanimate units. So you can normally reanimate a Bloodthirster with your blood type points, but this guy, once per turn, your movement phase, pick a friendly Blades of Khorne demon unit that started with 3 or more models, so you can use it on cavalry, that has been destroyed. Roll a dice on a 4-up, set up a replacement with half the number of models wholly within 12 inches of this unit and more than 9 inches from all enemy units.
Yes.
It is on a 4-up, so you have a chance to fail.
Which does suck.
It does suck, but just getting a free unit back when you generally had no other way to do it.
You can keep trying.
You can keep trying.
Yeah.
If you fail to reanimate the first time, you can try it again.
Yeah, only once per turn.
Yeah.
But you can keep trying.
Yes. I like these just, again, if you're going really demon heavy, these can bring back your dogs if you need something fast, your cavalry, even though the demon cavalry sucks, or your bloodthirsters, your bloodletters, which is probably the thing you should do.
Probably, yeah. Hey, recycling models is always good.
Yep, always good.
Yeah.
And that's the last demon I want to talk about. And then we have to talk about the mortals, unfortunately. It also should be noted that the last thing I talked about, the Blood Throne is a priest. Blood Throne is
good,
a priest
yes.
base. The premier hero for Blades of Khorne mortals is the Bloodsecrator. It is the banner. Doop. Once per game, I'm just going to skip past all of its stats for a second because this is the best part.
They're fine.
Yeah, they're fine. They're okay. Once per game, any combat phase, add 1 to the attacks of all melee weapons of all friendly bloodbound units for the rest of the turn. It is, again, basing on the alpha charge. You get 3 units in, and you're like, +1 attack.
And it's just all of them. There's no
All of
range to that ability.
Nope, no range, no line
He
of
can
sight.
be in the back and be like, sup?
He also has a thing where you like rally better, friendly, bloodbound, wholly within 12, use the rally command, make 3 additional rolls. So that's not terrible.
And it's worth noting that as Khorne, you're not winning attrition battle. That's not your job.
No.
That's Nurgle.
Yep.
So you really do need to kind of like get into position, strike hard, strike fast, no mercy.
Yep. And if you start losing that, use your blood type points to get you back in.
Right.
So yeah, I think he is. It should also be noted that he is one of the secondary heroes that you can take underneath one of your main
even
heroes.
better.
Doesn't even take up a drop.
Better.
Unfortunately, something that does take up a drop, and I think you must use in every list you have,
Good old Slaughter
is the
Priest.
Slaughter Priest.
So the more things change, the more things stay the same.
Exactly. His profiles are also fine.
It's like the same profile.
I believe
honestly.
it's the same profile.
Well, no, he's got a 5-up save.
The reason that he is basically required is he can unbind as though you're a wizard, which is good. He is a base priest, so he can go on the blood altar.
Yep.
Skull altar, which is good. And at the start of, in your hero phase once per turn, you roll a dice, pick a unit within his combat range, which can be him, by the way. Roll a d3 on a 2-up, inflict an amount of mortal damage equal to the roll, and get a blood tithe point. Free blood tithe without a unit dying.
Yep.
And you can do that on a demon unit and still get your wards. You can do it on a unit and then rally them.
Yep. So.
But the reason that he is mandatory is because all of the other priests either want to be in combat or are too big to fit on the altar.
Yes. That's why I forgot about that, yeah.
So the only other one is the Realm Gore Ritualist, which the only ability he can take is a 12-inch range.
Yeah.
So if you're not in the 12 inches, you don't get it.
Which, I mean, maybe in Khorne, your priest should be in combat, Mitchell.
No, but you have to have one on your throne to get the abilities of the throne.
But the throne should be up front.
It has to be in your deployment zone.
I know, I'm nothing with you. Yeah, so this is the guy who can kind of safely stand back on the throne without feeling like you're wasting a combat slot.
Exactly. Unfortunately,
I'd love to help, but I'm back here.
he is not a extra hero, so he has to take a drop if you're going to take him, which is one of the downsides of him. I wish he was a bonus hero.
Yeah.
And he's 160 points.
Yeah.
But priests are very strong. We read all the
tide
lores.
points are real good, man, and prayers are real good.
Yeah. And again, he is another source of stopping magic in a faction that doesn't really have it.
Yep.
And the go-to for killiest mortal is the Skull Reapers.
Ooh.
They're a 5-man unit for an ungodly 220 points. So 440 for a max unit. But they are 4 attacks each, hitting on 4s, which you can buff, wounding on 3s, which you can buff, rend 1, 2 damage, crit mortals.
Good.
And they have an ability that's kind of good. It's more for, it is definitely a win more. It's passive. If this unit destroyed an enemy unit this turn, add 8 to their control score for the turn. If they didn't score 1, if they didn't kill an enemy unit, their control score is a 1 and can't be modified.
Okay.
So they want to kill stuff a lot real good.
I mean, you could still, it's kind of win more, but if your opponent is guarding an objective for like 2 units and maybe left 1 guy on an objective from 1 unit, just to have him there and you go and
just completely annihilate the unit.
Remove that man from existence. Suddenly you're like, I got control score 8 for each of my guys, so...
Yeah, so this unit is the 18 minimum?
Yeah, this unit is mine now.
Yeah. So the 4 attacks each. 10-man unit is 40 attacks.
Yes.
You can get +1 attack from blood tithe points if you spend 8.
And nowadays you can actually get them all into combat.
Yep, you can get them all into combat. You can spend the blood secretor to get them to 6 attacks each.
Yeah.
And if you make them your honor guard, you can give them +1 to hit and wound your opponent's stuff, or +1 to your rend.
And you do really want a +1 to hit on 4 up to hit.
Yes. So at the very least, you should be auto attacking.
And if I'm playing against these guys, I'm hitting this guy with any debuffs I have.
Exactly. Because 4 attacks each.
Yes.
40 attacks with crit mortals. Crit mortals and 2 damage is gonna deal a ton of damage.
Yep. Well, with 40 attacks, crit mortals, so on 6s. So 1/6 of those is going to be, so you have between 6 and 7 crits. So that's about 12.
12 to 14 mortals?
Yes.
Before saves?
Right.
Yeah, these guys hit like a truck. But they are expensive and they kind of deserve it.
Yeah, so I will, and they do have 3 health and 4 up safe. So they're not
3 health.
squishy.
Right.
But boy, I'm shooting these guys first.
Yeah, I bet you are. But yeah, that's the last one I wanted to talk about. Just because I don't really know what to do with mortals, because all of the mortals seem too expensive for what they do. Even the other unit is a 5-man unit. They're 150 points, but they're like basically the same profile, but 1 damage, and instead of crit mortals, they're crit 2 hits. So they're like a lot of attacks, but not good attacks. But they're a lot cheaper. They're 70 points cheaper a unit.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Anyway.
And I think that's it for Blades of Khorne.
I think that's it.
So Khorne's doing pretty good right now, if I recall.
They got some points drops recently, and they have been placing a bit. Yes.
Yes. They're no longer just the bottom of the pile.
Right.
And the blood tithe accounting is nowhere near as bad as it used to be.
Yeah. The only real bad part is like not screwing yourself over doing one and when you actually need to do the other.
Sure, but that's more, I like that kind of gameplay.
Yeah.
It's not like the keeping the track of how many, what unit has this many points and did this many damage and stuff like that.
No.
Or it's not the...
This isn't Slaves to Darkness.
Right, or Slanesh.
Or Slanesh.
No, I like this. It's straightforward. It's like, I kill unit, I get point. Bing! You kill unit, I get point. Bing!
Yep.
And that's it. And then you spend the points. I like it. It's no longer, I joked about it, but it's not really accounting anymore.
It's not.
It feels pretty,
Pretty straightforward.
intuitive to play.
Yeah.
And pretty strong. Not, maybe one note, but that's kind of Khorne.
Yeah.
All the Chaos Gods are a little one note.
Yeah.
Except for Tzeentch, and that is by design.
Look over at what is it? World Eaters and tell me they shouldn't be one note. They have charge kill stuff and then charge and kill stuff.
Yep. Well, that's 40k though.
These guys are at least one step above that.
Because they can actually kill stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. So overall, I think Blades of Khorne are in a pretty good place. You obviously play them way more than I do, but they have been your go-to army for Age of Sigmar 4.
Yep.
Right.
They have.
Okay.
I've played more games with them than I have any other faction.
And it's still running kill stuff real good.
Yeah. And I like it.
Which is sometimes all you need in life. It's just some milk for your cornflakes. So,
why is that milk suspiciously red?
Strawberry.
Strawberry.
Strawberry milk from pink cows.
Oh.
And if you shake the cow, you get a milkshake. All right, that's it from us this week with our Age of Sigmar faction rundowns. Join us next time for everyone's favorite, definitely not Khorne worshippers, Daughters of Cain. See, Cain has different letters after the first two,
Yes.
so it's not Khorne.
Correct.
Yes, they also deal in blood. It's not Khorne. Don't dare to say that.
They sacrifice their followers for the blood. Not the blood of God, for the blood.
Well, to be fair, Daughters of Cain don't sacrifice their own followers.
That's true.
Morathi does care from whence the blood flows.
Only the enemies.
Yeah. That is the difference between them.
That's right.
It's Morathi's picky about where the blood comes from. Khorne doesn't give a crap. Join us then for we talk about everyone's favorite elves and snake ladies. But until that time,
Bye.